Hello, and welcome back to News Nation. It is November 11th, 1975, and today marks Angolan independence from Portuguese colonialism. Most of the populations of Angola trace their roots back to agricultural groups that emerged around 1000 to 500 BCE, and in the first centuries of the Common Era, large kingdoms have established themselves in the region. The Portuguese reached the Congo Kingdom in the 14th century, and the king took European customs. In 1575, the Portuguese established a colony at Luanda, an Angolan city, and was economically tied to the slave trade. Though colonization did come with some backlash from the nearby kingdom of Ndogo. However, with aid from the Congo, the Portuguese were able to establish their colonies. So from 1575 to 1975, in nearly 400 years, Angola has been under Portuguese rule. Now I'll pass the stage over to Andrea, who's currently on ground in Angola, and will tell us a bit more about the independence movement over there.
Thank you, Grace. Now, a couple months back ago in January, the Alva Agreement was signed and helped end the 13-year-long war against Portugal for independence. But first, we need to backtrack and credit some of the leaders of this movement.
Yes, of course. No movement can take form without people guiding them to victory. Leaders are essential for a process, such as independence, to truly take shape. Who were some prominent leaders in the movement?
Before I can go into the leaders, for context, I want to address the three political parties that were in Angola. The Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, known as MPLA, the National Front for Liberation of Angola, the FNLA, and the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, known as UNITA. The MPLA was socialist, FNLA was nationalist movement and slightly capitalist, and UNITA did not have a clear ideology, but later embraced the anti-communism and capitalism.
Different ideologies and groups sharing a common ground is a recipe for disaster.
Precisely. Agostinho Neto, the founder of MPLA, was a leader in the movement who envisioned a socialist Angola, united and independent with justice for all. Holden Roberto for the FNLA aims for a democratic Angola, with an emphasis on national unity and economic development. Jonas Savimbi of UNITA was looking for individual freedoms and regional autonomy.
Yes, Neto rose to power more because of his influence as a poet and physician. Roberto's heritage consisted of members of the Congo Kingdom, so that and his career representing Angola in international forums gained him support. Savimbi was aided by international contacts, like the US, that helped him gain resources and recognition.
Yes, thank you, Grace. Internationally, the MPLA received support from the USSR and Cuba because of aligning ideas. UNITA received support from the USA because the USA saw UNITA as a counterbalance to the MPLA. FNLA got support from the USA too, as well as Zaire, which is currently known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo. These supports made the war even more complex and intensified between the movements.
How interesting! Now, it wasn't until the 1950s and 60s that the movements were established, primarily influenced by anti-colonialism. But the movement did start to escalate in 1961 with the Baksa di Cassandre revolt led by peasants. This sign of aggression triggered the Angolan War of Independence as the liberation movements formed the Angolan Liberation Committee, which launched guerrilla campaigns against the Portuguese forces.
Exactly. But the event that catalyzed the movement was the Carnation Revolution, where military officers launched a coup to overthrow the Estado Novo regime. The Prime Minister resigned by force, and Portugal embarked on a transition to democracy. The new Portuguese government declared independence for Angola.
And to pick up, negotiations between the Portuguese government and liberation movements resulted in the Alva Agreement, like you said, last January. Thank you, Andrea, for your time. Stay safe out there.
Thank you, Grace. This is Andrea signing off from Angola.
Now, after independence, here's what we can expect and what has happened. Due to tensions between the differing political parties, a civil war has broken out amongst them, competing for dominance over Angola and for various resources. Because of their ideologies, we can expect countries like the USSR to support MPLA and USA supporting UNITA and FNLA due to the USA being in favor of anti-communism. While it is disappointing to be hearing of such news after the new independence, we can hope that the Civil War will end soon. Now, a live comment for one of the viewers at home who is curious about how the AP curriculum fit into today's news. The Angolan independent fits into the unit guide because of the decolonization of Portugal over Angola throughout the war. The Angolan people assert their independence and sovereignty as a new nation, which fits under topic 8.5, Decolonization after 1900. But because of the Cold War background that occurred during the movement, it also falls under topic 8.3, Effects of the Cold War. Because external countries like the USA and Soviet Union supported different factions of Angola for their own geopolitical interests. That is all for today, November 11th, 1975. This is Anchor Grace, signing out. Good night.